Welcome to Kaizen Time, part of the Blood, Sweat, and Business podcast, where we provide constant improvement to businesses through timely, actionable financial solutions. Do you want answers to your financial questions? Email us at bsb@kaizencpas.com. I'm your host, Mark Valesky. Now let's get started. Welcome to Kaizen Time. I'm joined by Clay Hamlin, a partner here at the firm. How you doing, Clay?
Just fine. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So, beginning of the year, a lot of people are looking at what the rest of the year is going to be like. And for some people, they're looking at selling their business. They're retiring. They're maybe going to go to Florida like everybody does these days.
Yep.
I heard it's pretty nice, by the way. Is that true?
It is, yeah. I'll be going there 3 times in 2024.
Yeah?
Yep.
I heard there's also a lot of alligators.
Depends on where you are. If you're near a pond or something, better take a look.
Yeah. Just don't jump in right away.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
So, Clay, if you had a small business and you were looking at selling, what would you do? You know, what are the kind of the thought process that you'd be going through before you just jump on in?
Sure. Selling at a profit?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's a great question. What are the options? Like, what kind of businesses are you selling?
Right. So if you want to sell fast,
Mm-hmm.
you're definitely not going to make as much because selling is a multi-year process. Many small business owners put a premium on saving taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And generally, saving taxes is not a good strategy when you're trying to sell a business, because that means you're lowering the profit typically.
Mm-hmm.
And when you lower the profit over a multi-year period of time, then you go and sell it. The buyer looks at it and says, "It's not really
attractive.
It's
right?
not really making that much money."
Okay.
So it's really something you need to start 3 years. Most buyers will ask for 3 years of financials in advance. And if you've been prioritizing saving money, tax money at that point, your business isn't going to make as big a profit when you sell. So that's something you need to start in advance. And that's why I said, do you want to make a profit here? Because if it's like we were going to sell this year and we've never really thought about this before, this could be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So really, if we're saying it's going to be this year and we haven't really planned, I would be looking to maximize my profit as much as possible. I wouldn't put through maybe owner discretionary expenses right now.
What's that?
Let's say you happen to have a home heating bill that you're putting through the business.
Gotcha.
Or, I don't know, you're going to take some client out to the
Mm-hmm.
Blackhawks game or,
Mm-hmm.
something along those lines. I probably would avoid those things right now.
So kind of that, as you get closer, you want to start cleaning things up, right?
Yeah, exactly. Reducing your expenses, showing as much profit as possible. Because any of these owner discretionary expenses, any of these things that I wasn't as profitable then.
Mm-hmm.
It's always sows the seed of doubt in the buyer. Is that really an owner's discretionary expense? Can I really make more money than this previous owner did?
Mm-hmm.
Am I just being asked to, sort of buy the pie in the sky thing? Oh, you can make more than I made because you run this business so much better than I did.
And no one wants to buy a lemon, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually, it seems more like just like buying a house, right? You want to present it in the best possible light. Show it for what it is, or in many ways what it could be if they took possession of it, right?
Yep. And another thing too is I would have professionally done financial statements.
Okay.
Because if you just show them what comes out of your QuickBooks, oftentimes that's going to be amateurish looking, and
it's also up for debate, right?
Again, no one wants to buy the lemon.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it looks amateurish, then it probably is amateurish. I can't even say that word very well, but you get the point.
Fortunately, we don't have to say that very often, right? In our field.
I'm searching for a different word, but hey, it works. So you want something that looks professional. It's kind of like if you turn in a sloppy essay when you're in school, where you can have exactly the same essay that's nicely typed. The nicely typed one's probably going to get a better grade.
Makes perfect sense.
That's
what you want to do is, again, present it in the best light.
Exactly.
If you're selling your house, you should probably have it cleaned.
Exactly.
Right? That makes perfect sense. Okay. So you're preparing it.
Yep.
What else can you do in that preparation phase? Maybe like the last year, 6 months. Do you put out feelers? Are you going out and courting people? How does it work?
There's a few more things actually, like just internally that you can do. Let's say, for example, you have a couple key employees, or maybe a lot of key employees that have no employment agreements. And if the buyer came in and they lost those people, and those people walked away with customers or clients or whatever, that could be a big negative when a buyer comes in and says, well, any of these people can walk off with half the business. I don't know your customers.
It sows seeds of doubt, right?
Yep.
So basically you're looking at some internal things that you being able to change it to give that potential new buyer a little bit of safety net, feeling comfort, right?
Yep. If you have any like potential liabilities or potential lawsuits, get those things cleaned up. Get rid of them. Hey,
I feel like one of those things you don't even have to say.
You'd be surprised how often
you are absolutely right.
These things, nothing should be left. And I'm not an attorney, so I'm just, this is just like a businessman talking about how these things work, right? But it's surprising how often these things come up, and so you have to say it.
Well, I shouldn't say it's strange, but sometimes those lawsuits are the reason why they're selling that business.
And I'll be honest with you, one of the big things, one of the hot things right now, state taxes. A lot of people aren't thinking about this, but, we're dealing with a client right now that might be in 20, 30 states. They're filing in 2. And so when a buyer comes in and says, well, you've got sales in all these states, what about the state? You haven't filed in any of these states. The states could go back indefinitely and try and, have that company file and pay penalties and interest and blah, blah, blah. And some deals are falling through right now simply because the buyer looks at this and says, the
more information they're getting, the more questions are coming up.
Yeah, I have 20 honeypots for these states to come after me. And, I don't want... I'm not Pooh Bear. I don't have all the honey to fill these pots for them.
Okay, all right, makes sense.
So it is some things that might be unexpected. I know we're in the partly in the tax business. It's part of what we do. Might sound self-serving, but to get your state tax liabilities and your state tax filings up to date.
So really, getting yourself ready to sell a business, it's more of just cleanup and maintenance. It's far less to do about, I guess, well, I shouldn't say not so much the front end.
Let me give you one more big thing, right? Sure. A lot of business owners have not sold their business before. I know it sounds kind of circular almost, right?
That makes sense. Okay.
But for a lot of business owners, it's not like they're serial owners. There are a few of those that are out there. But they haven't sold their business before. So they don't really know what to do. It's not like they have a lot of experience doing this. And surprising number of them do it themselves. I'm just going to DIY this thing. They don't hire a business broker because they don't want to pay, say, 5 to 10%.
Okay.
But I've seen many times where a broker sells it for like $10 million, and the seller started themselves, tried to sell it themselves. They had a couple offers, $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million. And they're like, after taxes, I don't get enough to retire on here. Okay. Should I do this? And the answer typically is no, you should hire a broker and actually market this thing. That's what they do.
Kind of like anything, if you would like to hire a professional if you want to get out there and be at that professional level of selling. That's right. About right?
Yeah, or, you're sued and you're in court and you go and represent yourself. You can save money. I will grant you that.
I don't always recommend it.
On attorney's fees, anyway. But I don't recommend necessarily doing that.
Okay.
And so, hiring a broker, cleaning up the balance sheets, looking at your liabilities, looking at your employees. Another thing, too, is if you have, like, one customer that's very, very large in relation to the rest of your business, 50%, 60%. I have one client that's 100%. That I would want a contract. I wouldn't want this just sort of informal type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because a buyer will look at this and say, well, if we lose this one customer, we're screwed. I mean, this, what we bought is, again, the lemon. And so that's another thing you can do is to try and tie up a sort of formal relationship with that key customer.
Oh, this is actually a lot. Is there anything else? Any other one that you're just like, maybe I should throw this in too?
Not off the top. Those are the big ones. And you'd be surprised how many sellers miss on all of them, right?
Wow.
And we've had clients over the years that just literally just shut down their business for nothing. They get zero out of it.
A profitable business that's been around for years, and then just, nah.
Puff goes a magic dragon.
That's horrible.
It is, because they're literally just throwing money down the toilet.
All right, well, perfect. Thank you very much, Clay.
Yeah, no problems.
You've been listening to Kaizen Time, part of the Blood, Sweat, and Business podcast. If you like what you heard, subscribe and leave a 5-star review. This podcast has been brought to you by Kaizen CPAs Plus Advisors, providing advisory and accounting services to help you grow your business. Learn more at kaizencpas.com or email us at bsb@kaizencpas.com.